The Pontiac 455 High Output. 4 numbers and 2 letters that still send shivers through Detroit's automotive legends. What you're about to read isn't just the tale of another big block engine. It's a deep dive into an industry-shaking secret that rewrote the rulebook on American muscle. They said it couldn't be built. They said it shouldn't be built. But somewhere inside General Motors, a rebellious group of engineers quietly created a mechanical monster that would break corporate boundaries and challenge the power hierarchy of Detroit. This wasn't just an engine. It was 455 cubic inches of unapologetic raw American force. The numbers were real, but the people who tried to bury them were even more determined. While other manufacturers pushed out engines that looked impressive on paper, Pontiac unleashed a torque-heavy powerhouse that disrupted the established order. Yet, for all its brilliance, you won't see the 455 HO tearing up the streets today. Just when this engine seemed ready to dominate, production suddenly stopped. Why? The answer lies hidden in a tangled web of corporate politics, government intervention, and an internal war that's rarely spoken about. I've spent years tracking down retired engineers, old-school racers, and devoted collectors who know the real story, and it's time to break the silence. The truth about the Pontiac 455 HO might just change everything you think you know about muscle cars. The birth of this engine was anything but peaceful. It arrived in the late 1960s and early 1970s, an era when Detroit's muscle car wars were at their peak. While Ford and Chrysler fought their battles in the open, GM was waging its own secret war behind closed doors, pitting brand against brand in a high-stakes engineering showdown. Pontiac, fresh off the success of the GTO, knew it needed something extraordinary to keep its performance crown. The 455 HO wasn't just their next step, it was their nuclear strike in the corporate arms race. Developed under the watchful eye of John DeLorean before his sudden and controversial departure, the HO became a symbol of Pontiac's refusal to back down from anyone, even GM's top brass. What made the 455 HO special was the timing of its creation. It slipped into production during a narrow window between GM's own restrictive rules and the looming arrival of strict emissions laws. It wasn't only competing with rival automakers, it was racing against the clock. The engineers knew their days of unfiltered horsepower were numbered, so they threw everything they had into one final defiant masterpiece. This wasn't just another big block. It was a precision-engineered weapon disguised as a production motor. On paper, the official numbers were impressive enough: 455 cubic inches, 335 horsepower, and an earth-shattering 480 pound-feet of torque. But insiders have confirmed what dynamometer tests later proved. Those figures were intentionally underrated. In reality, this beast had at least 50 more horses than GM claimed. Built with racing-grade hardware like round-port cylinder heads, oversized valves, a high-performance camshaft, 4-bolt mains, forged pistons, and a specially designed aluminum intake, the HO was capable of brutal acceleration across the entire power band. While others chased high-peak horsepower for bragging rights, Pontiac built an engine that delivered relentless torque from launch to redline, and that scared their competition. So why was it strangled in its prime? The official story blames emission standards in the 1970s fuel crisis, but the timing is suspicious. Internal GM memos, now in the hands of private collectors, reveal that Pontiac's dominance was making Chevrolet nervous. The 455 HO wasn't just winning races and street battles, it was winning the war inside GM, and that threatened Chevrolet's long-held position as the company's performance leader. Just as the engine was about to cement its legacy, corporate policy changes suddenly limited horsepower ratings and future engine development. Coincidence? Maybe. But those who were there know better. The Pontiac 455 HO wasn't just an engine, it was a bold statement, a last roar from the golden era of muscle cars, and a victim of the kind of behind-the-scenes power struggles that most enthusiasts never see. Its story is one of innovation, rebellion, and corporate sabotage, and it remains one of the most fascinating chapters in American automotive history.
Over the years, I've spoken with veteran racers, engineers, and collectors, and every one of them agrees on one thing. The Pontiac 455 HO wasn't simply discontinued, it was deliberately shut down. One of the clearest signs was the sudden reassignment of key Pontiac powertrain engineers right when final refinements for the engine were underway. The timing was too precise to be coincidence. While emissions laws were the perfect public excuse, the deeper truth points to a calculated internal coup that sacrificed one of the most remarkable muscle car engines ever built for the sake of corporate politics and brand positioning. This wasn't retirement, it was an execution. The 455 HO didn't earn its status in boardrooms. Its legend was built on the asphalt of America's drag strips, highways, and street races. Long before its mysterious disappearance from NHRA events, the engine was already outperforming its official ratings. Cars powered by this motor were clocking sub-13-second quarter miles straight from the factory, numbers that raised eyebrows and suspicions. Street racers who knew the truth hunted for these cars specifically, enjoying a stealth advantage while Mopar Hemis and big block Chevys grabbed the headlines. Those in the know quietly turned 455 HO-powered machines into local legends across the country. The racing world's reaction was telling. Whenever Pontiac's HO cars started winning too consistently, rules seemed to change overnight. Classifications were adjusted, restrictions added, all conveniently after the 455 HO's dominance became impossible to ignore. Some of its records, insiders whisper, mysteriously vanished from the books altogether. This wasn't just an engine making waves, it was upsetting the entire balance of power in American motorsport. Today, the 455 HO has become one of the most sought-after treasures in the collector market. Authentic, numbers-matching cars now command six-figure prices at auction when they appear at all. Many never hit public sale, trading hands quietly between private collectors. Even loose engine blocks and heads have sold for more than entire restored classics. One Michigan collector reportedly keeps 5 HO engines stored in climate-controlled conditions, treating them like priceless art. Barn finds have revealed a curious pattern. Original owners deliberately hiding these cars away, not for profit, but because they feared the engine's legacy would be erased from history. In the high-end market, insiders believe values will triple within the next decade as the last generation to have experienced the HO's glory fights over the dwindling supply. This engine is more than just rare metal, it's forbidden fruit, valued as much for the secrecy surrounding it as for its earth-shaking performance. The Pontiac 455 HO may have vanished from production lines, but its DNA quietly lives on in modern performance cars. Look closely at the torque curves of today's high-end V8s and you'll see the same magic formula. Massive low-end torque paired with strong high RPM breathing. This was exactly what Pontiac engineers perfected half a century ago. Multiple sources have confirmed that the HO's intake port designs have been digitally scanned and studied by at least 3 major automakers in recent years. Its round port cylinder head layout, revolutionary in its day, has directly influenced the combustion chamber designs of modern engines, some in vehicles costing over 6 figures. Even today's sophisticated variable valve timing systems are, in a way, chasing what the 455 HO achieved with pure mechanical engineering. While modern technology relies on computers and sensors, Pontiac's masterpiece reached that balance using only precision machining and clever design. Engineering textbooks still reference its architecture, often without credit, when teaching optimal torque development and airflow efficiency. In the end, the Pontiac 455 HO remains one of the greatest what-ifs in American automotive history. It was a machine with untapped potential, silenced not because it failed, but because it succeeded too well. From its shadowy development to its suspicious demise, from the dominance it displayed to the influence it still exerts, this engine stands as both a triumph and a tragedy. The men who built it have mostly passed on, taking their secrets to the grave. Corporate archives remain sealed, original dyno sheets have disappeared, but the cars, those rumbling, fire-breathing survivors, are still out there. The next time you hear the deep growl of a vintage Pontiac, remember, you're not just hearing an engine, you're hearing a witness to one of the most enduring conspiracies in automotive history, a conspiracy of power, politics, and performance that still echoes in Detroit's corridors. And if uncovering the truth about the 455 HO has opened your eyes, just wait. There are other buried legends waiting to be brought to light. Next time, we'll pull back the curtain on another silenced giant, Carroll Shelby's most powerful creation that never saw the showroom floor. The truth is still out there, and together we'll find it.